This is Dead Air, and true stories of adventures in the great outdoors, with a creepy side. Listen, with the lights off.
Early in the 1980s, my dad was working a summer job at Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming. One day, he and his friend Mark hiked up to the top of one of the mountains. They set up their tent inside an Indian pit, a man-made hole dug out by Native Americans hundreds of years ago. The Indian pits were either used as hunting blinds or spots where young braves came for their vision quest. Late on the night, my dad wakes up and has to use the bathroom. He crawled out of the tent, out of the pit, and went walking a respectable distance away from the tent. Suddenly he felt a hand on his shoulder, pulled him backwards. My dad calls out, "Hey Mark, what are you doing?" He turns around, turns on his flashlight, and there is nobody there. He shines the light at his feet and discovers that his next couple steps would have taken him directly over a steep cliff. He did his business and hurried back to the tent. The next morning, the two friends are waking up, and his buddy says to him, "I know this sounds crazy, but I woke up in the middle of the night, and I swear to you, there was an Indian man standing outside our tent. Whatever really happened that night, my dad is alive. He met my mom in Yellowstone, and here I am."
My boyfriend and I decided on Sunday afternoon to go for a hike since both of our schedules were free. The day had been relaxing so far, just video games and lounging around, and now we wanted to spend the rest of it outside. I pulled out my phone, typed in hiking spots near me, and one in particular caught my eye: Lone Oak Trailhead in Johnson City. Something about the name intrigued me, so we plugged it into the GPS and headed out for our little adventure. Normally we pack snacks, water, and something for protection. For some reason, maybe because we were eager to get out into nature, we didn't this time. Another thing we tend to do, which might not be the smartest, is not check the length or difficulty of a trail. Our rule is simple: if we pick it, we finish it. After a short drive, we arrived at 7 p.m. The parking lot was empty except for one other car, which actually reassured me. At least there were other hikers out here. The trail wasted no time testing us. It was straight uphill from the start. My legs burned instantly, and for a moment I regretted my choice. But I reassured myself it couldn't be that bad. Just a good workout. 30 minutes later, both of us were drenched in sweat. Our conversations were just complaints. "How much longer do you think till we're at the top?" "This is ridiculous. It's been straight uphill the entire time." After some grumbling, we pushed on for another 20 minutes until we came across an elderly couple headed down. We asked how much farther, and the man replied, "About 5 minutes to the first stop, but if you want to reach the top, it's another half hour." I thanked them and decided we'd wait until the first stop to see how we felt. When we spotted a picnic table up ahead, our pace quickened. By now, the sun was dipping toward the horizon, painting the sky in gold. We realized that if we kept going, we'd be hiking back in complete darkness. I hated the idea, but we also didn't want to waste the chance to see the sunset. Against our better judgment, we pressed on. By 8:20 p.m., my legs felt like noodles. I told my boyfriend to go ahead and check if he could see another picnic table. Alone for the moment, an uneasy feeling crept in. My mind flashed back to a video I had once watched with my sister about dangerous mountain people in the Appalachians, feral individuals who robbed or attacked hikers. I shook off the thought as paranoid. until my boyfriend returned and said he hadn't found it. We debated turning back, but decided to push forward. Worst decision we could have made. When we finally reached the top, the sunset was gone. Darkness had swallowed everything. It was 8:40. My boyfriend sat at a picnic table, scrolling on his phone, while I wandered a short distance away to take pictures. I was murmuring to myself about how pretty it was when, snap, a huge branch broke directly in front of me, the sound so sharp it echoed through the still night air. My chest tightened instantly. It was the kind of sound that didn't just break the silence, it shattered it. My eyes locked on the spot, heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my ears. Then more branches cracked in quick succession, each one closer than the last. Out of the darkness, a man stumbled into view, moving oddly, hunched over, pacing, clearly on something. "Hey, hello?" I called, but he didn't respond. He just kept coming toward me. My hand shook as I backed up toward my boyfriend and flipped the safety off my pepper spray. My boyfriend called out, "Hey, what's up?" The man stopped, sat down on the opposite side of the picnic table, and asked, "Do you have anything?" Everything about him was off. His clothes, a turtleneck jacket and sweatpants on a grueling uphill hike, his lack of gear, his jittery movements. I stepped away, pretending to look for cell service, while he told my boyfriend he'd been here for hours with friends. Friends. My eyes darted to the bushes around us. Then, without warning, he stood up and walked back down the trail. No flashlight, no goodbye. I called my parents explaining what happened, but the call kept dropping. They told me to call the police. I tried, but the line cut out again. That's when we heard it. Heavy footsteps snapping branches circling us in the darkness. He was back. We couldn't see him, but he could see us. The fear was primal. Predator versus prey. My boyfriend gripped a rock ready to throw. I finally got hold of the 911 dispatcher again, my voice trembling, gasping for air as I begged her for help, desperately trying to explain what was happening. She began telling us what we needed to do, but before she could finish, the call died again. I'm clutching my legs, looking at my boyfriend. We share a glance of pure desperation and fear. In this moment, the air is still. Tears start to build as my mind spirals. I think this will be the end of us. We're going to be murdered, or kidnapped, or end up as another case on Missing 411. I keep redialing, but my hands are shaking so badly I almost drop the phone. Meanwhile, he's scanning the tree line, shifting his stance as something crashes from bush to bush around us, always just out of sight. When I finally connect with the dispatcher again, she tells us to start heading down the trail immediately. Officers will be waiting at the bottom. We move fast, our phone flashlights slicing through the black void ahead. The darkness feels alive, pressing in closer with every step. When we finally get off the mountain, we're engulfed in pitch blackness. The circle of light from our phones is swallowed by the night. My breath comes out in visible clouds, but there are no cops. Just the faint red glow of my car's taillights in the distance. We rush to the car. I tell my boyfriend to wait while I check underneath in case someone is hiding there. Thankfully, there's no one. We get in and sit in silence, dazed and confused. I finally start the engine. The only sound is the hum of the motor as we pull away. We don't speak until I finally mutter, "Never again." We both agree. We're not hiking again for a very long time. From 1993 to 1998, every summer I attended a Christian youth camp for girls. Camp lasted 4 days, 3 nights. There were about 200 girls at the camp, and it was about a 1.5 to 2 hour drive away from our homes. Some of the camping areas were tent only, others had A-frames, and at least one of the camping areas had longhouses. It was a really safe campground, and we had a lot of fun every year. In the evenings, we would tell spooky stories. Pretty typical stuff for youth camps. On the last night of camp in 1996, I was 15 at the time, there were several of us girls on the top level of our longhouse. It was past bedtime, so we were quietly telling scary stories. I had told a couple, one with the help of a friend. I'll call her Lily. I don't remember the specific stories from that night, just typical, and the hook was hanging from the car door stuff. After a couple hours of spooky stories, someone else was talking, and I was getting really tired and could hardly keep my eyes open. Then some of the girls asked me to tell one more story, so I start telling a story, making it up as I go, just the typical on a dark night in the woods not far from here type of beginning. Next thing I know, I wake up, lying flat on my back. As I'm waking, I realize I'm still talking, but once I became aware of my own talking, I couldn't remember what I was saying or trying to say. I was fully awake then. I finished by lamely saying something like, "They all died." The end. I looked around me at the girls, who were all staring wide-eyed at me. A couple of the girls were quietly crying, mouths open in horror with tears streaming down their faces. My friend Lily whispered, "That was the creepiest thing I've ever heard." The girls that weren't crying nodded in agreement. I said I was tired and we should all go to bed. As all of the other girls moved away to their sleeping bags, I asked Lily and another girl, I'll call her Sarah, what I had said. I admitted to them that I had fallen asleep and couldn't remember anything. Lily and Sarah exchanged glances, and Lily paused before saying, "That just makes it worse." Sarah nodded in agreement and said she didn't want to retell it because it was that creepy. Now at this point, if it had been just Lily and one or two of the other girls that were in that group, I would have thought they had realized I was asleep and were just messing with me. But Sarah was, and still is, a very serious person who doesn't have much of a sense of humor, doesn't like pranks, and is honest almost to a fault. So I went to sleep feeling unnerved but exhausted. A few hours later, I was being shaken awake by one of the adult camp leaders. She told me to gather my things and follow her. I sleepily and awkwardly carried my stuff down the ladder, then followed her outside. 2 other camp leaders were standing next to a tent. They told me to put my items inside and then come talk to them. Inside the tent were 2 of the younger girls, 12 or 13, that had been listening to the scary stories and who had been crying when I woke up. They wouldn't look at me, just lay there sobbing. When I went back outside to talk to the leaders, they said Lily had showed up at their tent with the 2 sobbing girls. The girls were crying and kept saying they wanted their parents to come get them. Lily explained about the scary stories and about mine being the one that made them cry. The leaders asked me what I had said. I admitted I had fallen asleep and honestly didn't know. The leaders said Lily refused to tell them what I said, and the 2 girls just sobbed harder the more they tried to talk to them.
They explained to the girls that they weren't going to call and wake their parents at 3 a.m. and have them drive over an hour just because of spooky stories. Plus, we were all going home the next day. As punishment for scaring the girls, the leaders made me sleep in the tent with them, while the leaders went to sleep in the longhouse. The girls cried for a bit, and then we all fell asleep. They were both gone from the tent when I awoke in the morning. To this day, I have no idea what creepy story I told. No one that was there has ever been willing to tell me any of the details. Several years afterward, Lily told me that she would randomly have nightmares because of it. The only details I ever had answered were, my voice sounded the same as usual, my eyes remained closed for the majority of the story, which creeped them out more, and the story was coherent and made sense up until the end when I lamely finished speaking. Again, if it had only been Lily and a few of the other less serious girls, I would know they were just screwing with me. But given Sarah and most of the other girls that were there, including one that cried most of the night, even being a part of a prank on me just doesn't seem probable.
You've been listening to Dead Air. Like and subscribe for more. Good night.